Maybe a little bit of nervousness in the air as they're now down 2-1, and we wait to see who will be available for them Game 4. But, Stephen A., this Toronto team, they're led by Kawhi. We know this, but how significant do you feel like the contributions were beyond their stars 30?
Well, it was everything. I mean, when you look at Serge Ibaka, comes off the bench, gives you 21 minutes. He has 6 block shots. You look at Marc Gasol, he dropped 17 on like 6 for 11 shooting. You look at Kyle Lowry, 23 points, hitting 5 threes along the way. You look at Danny Green, a virtual no-show offensively since the Eastern Conference Finals, scores all 18 of his points on 6 threes, and you saw all 5 starters shoot double-digit shot attempts. And so when you look at that, you see the distribution, you see the sharing of the basketball, you see the level of patience that obviously you're going to witness when Kawhi Leonard has the ball in his hands, particularly in ISO installations. I think, ISO situations. I think, like what did Tim Lakeland say? About 25 times.
Yep.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, and then you sit there and compare that to the 47-point explosion from a Steph Curry, but how no one else was really able to step up, really making a difference. And then DeMarcus Cousins, we raved about him in Game 3. Huge disappointment. I'm sorry, he raved about him in Game 2.
Right.
Huge disappointment in Game 3. Virtual no-show. 1 of 7 shooting. 1 field goal on the entire night. Thoroughly and completely outplayed by Serge Ibaka, by Marc Gasol, even by Pascal Siakam. He did absolutely nothing tonight when you needed him most. The combination of all of those things are why the Golden State Warriors are down 2-1 in this series, because when you don't have KD and you don't have Klay Thompson, you need somebody to step up, particularly when they're supposed to have an advantage. That was supposed to be DeMarcus Cousins tonight. It didn't happen.
No, he couldn't finish at the rim either. Just had no lift and no energy. And it was interesting, Stephen A., when he joined me after that game the other night, I said we're never supposed to ask the how do you feel question, but I asked him how did he physically feel. He said he felt fine then, but he didn't know how he'd be an hour later. And obviously he didn't have anything, and Steph gave them all he could. 47 out of Steph. I kept thinking if they could bury that one shot to get over the hump from, say, 7-4, but the Raptors would never let that happen. That impressed me, their ability to make the shot to stem the tide.
Here's the reality of the situation. You got to give Steph credit where credit is due, because he did all he could. You know they were going to key on him, and he was still absolutely sensational with 17 in the first, 25 in the first half. But if you're DeMarcus Cousins, I got news for you, SVP. He never had any lift to begin with when he was healthy. That's not his game. His game is shooting perimeter shots or taking that big backside of his, drop stepping in the post and making you feel his girth and his mass, so it don't matter how high you can jump. You still going to end up flat on your back going up against him. He didn't do that tonight. He actually tried to look pretty doing layups, and it didn't work. And then you look at the Toronto Raptors. They were throwing bodies at him. They were dictating pace. They were making shots. They shot 52% from the field. They shot nearly 45% from threes. You saw what they were doing. And add Serge Ibaka's 6 blocks to that. I can't emphasize enough how important that was, because he completely wiped away anything in the interior, simply relegating them to a perimeter shooting team, and that wasn't going to be enough.
I understand what Steve Kerr is saying. You don't want to risk losing Klay for the entirety of this series, but now, I mean, you got to win quicker. It's not going to go long anyway. Golden State's saying if we get KD and Klay back, we can win 3 out of 4. Do you think they can?
Yes.
Do you think they will?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Absolutely. If they get Klay and KD, oh, please don't worry. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Now, if they don't have them, that's an entirely different ball game altogether. But if they have both KD and Klay back, with Iguodala playing and Draymond and Steph healthy to play, don't even worry about it. Mere bag of shells. Not to sit there and quote the honeymooners, Ralph Cramden, but mere bag of shells. Ain't nothing to worry about.
I'm not worried about a thing. I'm just curious what you thought. Stephen A., I'll be curious to see how the crowd reacts tomorrow morning. I'm sure they'll bring their energy, and their home team could use it. We'll check you out for First Take tomorrow, Stephen A. Thank you.
I kind of need their energy, too. We'll see what happens.
I'll get you some of those Swedish fish. Get the Swedish fish stat. My man needs some Swedish fish.
I'm working on it.